Well, it's springtime and new crossbows are coming out like pollen. So today we're looking at the Tenpoint TRX 26. 26 inches front to back, 5 3/4 inches axle to axle when it's cocked. Tenpoint claims that it is the fastest compact crossbow on earth. We'll see about that. All coming up next on Trinity Wild. Hey y'all, thanks for hanging out with us today. And like I said, today we're going to be looking at the Tenpoint TRX 26. Now, Tenpoint's added several new crossbows this year, so hopefully we'll get a chance to go through each one. But I wanted to do this one first because this is the one I'm most excited about. So like usual, let's unbox it, lay it out, show you how to build it, show you how it operates, and then let's test it. Let's get started. And that's how it looks. Let's get it out of there. To start out with, you're going to get a 6-pack of HPX bolts. Now, we're going to talk about that when we start doing the speed test. There is something I want to show you there. A hat, got to have a hat. Your quiver bracket, quiver, crank handle, all your instructions, and of course, got to have a sticker, got to represent that Rangemaster 100 scope. As you can see, they already have the rings mounted. That's going to be what they call bore-sighted, and we'll go through and check that out. And then there's our crossbow, the TRX 26. And as you can see, man, that thing is tiny. So it's going to be from 26 inches from front to back. And then axle to axle, it's 11 inches, but when it's cocked, it's going to be 5 3/4 inches. Now what that short and narrow platform is going to equate to is mobility. Packing this thing in and out of the woods, in and out of a stand is going to be really, really easy. Also, how narrow it is and how short it is, it's going to give you a wider range of shots. You're not going to be limited a lot of times sitting in a ground blind, or depending on what kind of tree stand setup you've got, that narrow platform is going to give you the ability to move around a little bit and possibly get some shots that you might not otherwise be able to get. There's the unboxing. Let's get this thing together. The reason I like to do these videos this way, if you live out somewhere that maybe you can't get your hands on a Tenpoint and you have to click that link below and order one, no need to feel intimidated. You see how it's really not that big a deal to get them out of the box and put them together. That's why I like to do them that way. Sorry, I got some construction going on next door and I'm trying to beat the rain. So let's get started building this. So first thing, let's get our quiver bracket on. I'm gonna flip this over. I wanna do this before I put the scope on, obviously, and find the Picatinny rail. There's your quiver bracket. This is what's going to sit on the pick rail. So I want to loosen that bolt right there. And since I'm right-handed and I'm probably going to crank with my right hand, I want this coming off the left side of the crossbow. We're going to loosen that till it's big enough to sit on the pick rail and tighten it down. And there you go. Your quiver is going to fit right in. Your quiver is going to fit right in here, and then your crank handle is going to fit up here. I would take a minute at some point too and snug that down really well so it doesn't come loose and start rattling on you. Now, because I mounted that quiver bracket so it's on this side, I'm going to have to switch that to the other direction. Otherwise, when I try to mount my quiver, it's not going to fit in the bracket correctly. So I'm going to have to switch the position of that. All that takes a little Allen wrench right there. So you can see all I did was unscrew that. We're going to flip that the other way and screw it right back in. You can see how it's kind of angled away, so those bolts, as they come down, they're not getting in your way here. And the way that the crank handle works, you can see that little spring-loaded deal right there. So it just goes here, and then I can do that right there, or up and off. And to me, I think that's one of the best innovations that Tenpoint has done, because I can do it that way, push the handle up. When it comes to mounting your scope, again, the rings are already on here, so we're going to call that good for right now. I'm going to assume they used the proper torquage on that scope. With this crossbow here, I have found, for me personally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th slot seems to fit about right for my eye relief. You will have to play with that, and you can see you got plenty of room. Just finger tighten that down to start with. There are proper torquing specs. I can't ever remember them off the top of my head, but you can look those up and get that locked in so you don't over tighten them. Then from here, pop off that back cover so you can get to your diopter, and you can move that. With my old eyes, I have to bring that thing way, way out. And there's your setup. let's go through the operation, show you how the crank works, and then we'll speed test it. Let's go through the operation now. First thing you want to do, take that tag off there. Heaven forbid that trigger box comes down and locks onto your string and you clip that too. You got to take a trip to the shop. Be careful. Come around the back side, get your crank handle. You're going to push up, up, off. Get a little closer so you can see what's going on. So with this new AccuSlide Max, the trigger release button is going to be back here. So I'm going to push that down. And you can see how that, when I do that, that's going to raise the latch. And I can push all the way down, and it's going to go down and lock onto the string. Hear that click? And once it clicks on the string, my crank handle, push the button down, and goes in on the side. And then we're going to begin to reel it back in. As you can see, watch how that thing, it's going to be that turn, the rotation on those cams. I like to wrap my feet around there to keep it still. Rotation on those cams is crazy. All the way back. Now once it comes all the way back, you can begin to start listening, because you're going to hear it click. Done. And here's where the controversy begins. I'm now going to back this off one turn, all the way around, take it out. Now there's a button, a little plastic button here on the bottom, and I'm going to push that button down. Now I'm going to unscrew the brake. It's only going to come back somewhere between a quarter to a half a turn. That's all you need. What you do is you're taking the brake off. If I don't do that, after I shoot this crossbow, if I go to push that latch down, it's not going to drop. Nothing's going to happen. If that's the case, all you got to do then is come back and do what we just did. What you just forgot to do, back it out one turn, push your finger on the button, and unscrew it. That's all you got to do. All right, there it is. So you can see, man, that is tight. So 5 3/4 inches axle to axle when it's cocked. So now let's decock it. We want to make sure our bolt is out of the crossbow. Again, put it down safe. We backed out that brake. We're going to have to take that slack back up. We're going to go back in, start pushing down on your latch, and as you push down, when it releases back far enough, that button's going to come down. Now I can begin to back it out. That's all I'm going to do. Now I can take my finger off the latch. Unlike some crossbows, there is a brake in here. I can take my hand off. I can change my mind and go back to recocking it. Or I can continue the decocking process. All the way back down until there's just a tiny bit of slack in that tether right there. All the way back down. And that's it. Leave it. Leave it where it is. Take your crank off. Be ready for the afternoon hunt. Now that we've seen the operation, let's go run it through a chronograph, because there's something I want you to see, because I want you to pay real close attention to this if you decide to buy this crossbow. And if you're getting some good out of our content, go ahead and hit that like button for us. That really helps out our channel. Or if you know somebody who's looking for a new crossbow this year, maybe share this video with them. That'll help them make a more informed decision. Thank y'all so much. The bolts that come with your crossbow is going to be the HPX center punch. They do come with a pack of 3 field points, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you decide you need some more field points, use the 11/32 100 grain. I highly recommend getting the Easton match grade ones. If you start shooting at 100 yards, what will happen is this thing's going to spin. At 100 yards, that's a long way to spin. It's going to loosen your field tip enough when it goes into the target and continues to spin. When you go to pull your bolt out, your field point will be gone. So you can do a couple of different things. Like I said, those Easton match grade field points are awesome. You can put a little Teflon tape on there as well. I've even put string wax on the threads. That seemed to help a little bit too. I'll put a link down below too. The Easton, the match grade Eastons are the way to go to keep that from happening. Let's go back to where we were. We're already locked on the string. Go ahead and crank that back. This may seem trivial too, but I go ahead and take the quiver off, because if you don't, the nose part won't sit on the ground right. It gets a little rocky. Now, how I'm cranking this, don't do this. I'm just doing it so you can see. Hold your comments. This is not how I normally cock this. I'm just doing it so you can see. Here we go, we're cranking it on back. And then as it starts to get back, you'll see it click right into the latch. There it goes. Won't crank back anymore. Now what do? Back wind one time. Out. We're going to push the little button that's right up here. Hold that button down and I'm going to unscrew my brake. Quarter to a half a turn, it's not far at all. That releases the brake and allows you to be able to drop that trigger box down the next time you shoot. Let's talk about these bolts. This is called the Alpha Knock, the HPX Alpha Knock. It's redesigned. You'll see the ears on it are just a little bit longer. On the side, you're going to see a little groove here. So this is not a capture knock like a Raven is. This one, but with that little groove, I can hear and feel that that bolt is all the way back. Of course, odd feather down. These bolts are, I mean, as far as this would be considered a match grade bolt. However, I do want to show you something that if you do purchase one of these crossbows, you need to be aware of. I wish Tenpoint would do a better job of telling everybody what's going on here, but let me show you what I'm talking about. Remember we talked about the scope being already mounted. Look at where the speed dial is set. That is set at 460. 460 feet per second, right? Watch this. That don't look like 460 feet per second to me. So what happened? It's the bolts. So these HPX bolts weigh more than the Pro Elite bolts. This one comes with the HPX. I don't mind if the box says 460. I don't mind if all the ads say 460. But that's with a Pro Elite bolt, which is not quite as high end a bolt as this, but it's also lighter. So you're going to get 460 feet per second out of it with that. I've tested it back at the shop. 460 feet per second with the Pro Elite. This one, 430 feet per second. At the end of the day, that really doesn't matter. You're still at 190 some kinetic energy. Your kinetic energy is enough to kill a dadgum hippo. But when you tell me that it's going to shoot 460, and especially the fact that the scope is set on 460, with a bolt that's going to shoot 430. So you need to take that into account. If you open this thing up and you're going to shoot these HPX bolts, I suggest you take that scope, dial that sucker back down to about 425 and go from there. Because with these bolts, it's not going to shoot 460. You look at this thing and say, well, let me test it out. I'm going to put it together and set it up at 50 yards. This thing's set at 460. It's going to shoot 430. Where's this bolt going to go? Not in the bullseye, that's for sure. Chances are that first shot you're going to lose one of these. They're not cheap. Now that being said, with all that being said, I think Tenpoint knocked it out of the park with this one. I am kind of the opinion, when you start getting up over 500 feet per second, I think your consistency suffers, and I think many times that the engineering has outpaced the components. It's been my experience so far that these crossbows that are shooting over 500 feet per second, things just don't stay together like they should. And just as an overview on this thing, it has all those new components, the Trigger Tech trigger system, that zero track barrel, and the guide lock arrow rest that has those little ball bearings that are not going to wear out. And the new AccuSlide Mac. When the 515 came out, I had a couple of issues with it, but since then I haven't had any problems with it. You got the 100-yard scope, that twin riser technology that came out last year with the 515, makes it lighter and it keeps from having any kind of lateral torque at all. You also can order this with the Burris rangefinder scope on it. It's about $600 more. Now the cost of this crossbow is about $3,000. For the camo version, add $200, so it's going to be about $3,200. Of course, we'll have to see how the strings hold up. They do seem to be beefed up a little bit, so over time we'll see how those strings hold up. So what do you guys think? Comment below. Are you looking at this, or is there another 10-point you're looking at, or another crossbow altogether? Put that in the comments below. I'll put it on the list and see what we can do for you. You're not going to believe what I just did. As I'm in the process of speed testing this, I cocked it, loaded a bolt, and noticed that my chronograph was a little out of line. I walked over to move the chronograph, and as I did a few minutes ago, I cocked it and loaded it and noticed that my chronograph was a little bit out of line. So I walked over to line it up, and as I did, this thing falls off the bench. Cocked and loaded, mind you. Needless to say, that didn't turn out well. You can see here the stirrup is scratched and bent, but more importantly, I've got a splintered limb. So sadly, today's review is going to come to an abrupt end. However, I think I have enough information to give you a pretty good review of this. I got to shoot it several times before I started the camera as I was sighting it in and that kind of thing. Now, you didn't get to see this part, but it is stupid accurate. Out of the box, put the scope on, and we were almost dead on. So as Tenpoint claims that these things are basically bore-sighted when it comes out and the rings are on the scope, that's not far from wrong. It was really, really close. I only had to make a few extra shots to get it sighted in. I never had a chance to back up to 50 yards and shoot it for distance, but at that 20-yard place where I was sighting it in, it sighted in quickly and was dead on. Here we go again. As far as out-of-the-box accuracy, this thing was pretty darn close. Operation-wise, I think it's really simple. I love the new AccuSlide Max that they came out with last year. And lastly, I don't really know how to describe it, but it's almost like when you shoot a bow and you say that I didn't feel any hand shock. That's almost how this crossbow felt. Now, it's still loud because it's a crossbow, but it doesn't seem as loud as some of the other ones. And I have to say, I really enjoyed shooting this. It's all the upgrades they made last year with the 515, only smaller. I think at this speed, I think it's going to hold up better. I think the consistency is going to be better. Again, I apologize for having to cut this a little bit short. If you'd like to see a video of me replacing the limbs on this thing, drop me a comment below. I'll be glad to do that for you. And thanks for watching us today. Hey, like and subscribe as always. It really helps out our channel. I normally like to say, let's get outside and get wild, but right now I got to go inside and order a set of limbs. So you guys get outside and get wild. Thank y'all. We'll catch y'all next time, and God bless. Unbelievable.